For decades, North Korea has been one of the world's most secretive countries. Its government doesn't like people from outside the country going there and finding out what is going on. It shares a border with a country called South Korea. The two countries have not got on with each other for a long time. A North Korean leader had not stepped foot in South Korea for 65 years. The leaders of the countries had not met for 10 years. But all the things changed in April 2018 when North Korean leader Kim Jong-un met with the president of South Korea Moon Jae-in at the border between the two countries. The meeting was a significant moment in modern history. To better understand the relationship between the two countries, we need to look back over the last few decades at the history of this secretive country. After the end of the First Sino-Japanese War, Japan won the war and the Treaty of Shimonoseki was signed. According to the treaty, China surrendered control of the Liaodong Peninsula and the island of Taiwan to Japan. 6 years later, Japan also won the right to station troops in eastern Manchuria, giving them a military stronghold on the Chinese mainland. The collapse of the Qing dynasty in 1911 weakened China and allowed Japan to further expand its sphere of influence. Full-scale war between China and Japan began in July 1937 following an incident near the Marco Polo Bridge in Vanping. After Japanese troops opened fire on local soldiers, a brief ceasefire was negotiated, but both sides increased military numbers in the region. In June 1938, the nationalists ordered the dikes of the Yellow River Dam to be blown. This was a desperate attempt to slow the advance of the Japanese invasion. While this idea worked, it also caused a devastating flood that killed between 500,000 to 1 million Chinese civilians. It also rendered up to 10 million homeless and ruined millions of acres of important farmland. This also resulted in food shortages, famine, and human suffering. Japan emerged as a major superpower in the Asian continent. On December 7, 1941, Japan made a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. On December 8, the United States Congress declared war on the Empire of Japan in response to the country's surprise attack. It was all formulated an hour after the infamous speech of President Franklin D. Roosevelt.
A startling attack by Japan on Sunday, December 7th, 1941, a state of war has existed between the United States and the Japanese Empire.
The Second Sino-Japanese War remained undeclared until December 9, 1941, after which much of the war was fought in and around the Korean Peninsula. The Second Sino-Japanese War came to an end in August 1945 after the United States detonated nuclear weapons over Hiroshima and Nagasaki. On August 8, 1945, the Ussr declared war on Japan, which is 2 days after the Hiroshima bomb. Commander Marshal Vasilevsky also called the Koreans to rise up against Japan. The Russian troops invaded from the north and suppressed the Japanese troops in Manchuria, while the Japanese forces in China were ordered to surrender.
The terms and conditions upon which surrender of the Japanese imperial forces is here to be given and accepted are contained in the instrument of surrender now before you. As Supreme Commander for the Allied Powers, I announce it my firm purpose, in the tradition of the countries I represent, to proceed in the discharge of my responsibilities with justice and tolerance, while taking all necessary dispositions to ensure that the terms of surrender are fully, promptly, and faithfully complied with.
Since Japan surrendered after the bombing in the two cities, it was now in the hands of America to deal with the Korean Peninsula. 30th parallel was a popular name given to latitude 38° north. The line was chosen by US military planners Rusk and Charles Bonesteel. The line was intended as a temporary division of the country. When the separation plan was explained to the Soviet Union, Stalin immediately accepted to the plan. This was a great shock for the US. The reason behind the immediate acceptance by Stalin was not surprising for the Japanese, since this was the line which was drawn even before 10 years when the Korean Peninsula was to be separated between a Soviet North and the Japanese South.